Welcome, everyone. I'm Dick Deming. I'm Medical Director of the Mercy One Cancer Center, and I'm also the founder of Above and Beyond Cancer. Welcome to our weekly cancer education series. It's brought to you in part by a grant from the Iowa Oncology Society. And my guest tonight is Brenda Helget. Brenda is Executive Director of A Time to Heal, a cancer survivorship program out of Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome, Brenda.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. How are things in Omaha?
Wonderful. It's cooled off significantly. We're very grateful.
Yes, what a difference a day makes. So,
Mm.
well, thank you for being our guest and my conversation partner this evening. Why don't we learn a little bit about you? So, where did you grow up and where did you go to high school?
Well, I grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, just a little ways down the road from Omaha, home of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. You may recall them,
I've
or
heard
maybe
of them.
not. Heard of them?
They used to have a football team, didn't
They
they?
did. They used to. I remember those days with fondness.
Yes. What was your claim to fame in high school?
Oh, I didn't have one. Trust
Oh,
me.
I bet you did. What would
Trust
somebody?
me. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I think I was more of a late bloomer, and I don't even go to high school reunions because I didn't. That wasn't my favorite time of my life.
So when you
Actually,
graduated from high school, what did you do?
well, I got married and had a baby and
Okay.
worked, but eventually, one of my big things I do is horses. And so I've always
Oh,
loved horses since I was young. And so my big claim to fame came in my 20s. We bought a horse, a young horse that was 10 months old that I trained, and we took her to the Pinto World Championships, and she won 3 world titles for me. So
wow. So you're a world champion.
yes, yes.
Awesome. And do you still do equestrian events or do you still own a horse?
Well, we took some time off. Actually, my daughter followed in my footsteps, and then she became mom to 3. So we kind of both stepped back from it, didn't have horses anymore. And Dick, she tricked me, and she had me come out to her friend's barn and ride this horse because she's, oh, he's great, and you can ride him, and we'll just go along the trails or something. And then she told me he was for sale.
So you're back in the horse business.
I am. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
So,
good. Um, and not only are you executive director of a cancer survivorship program, but you
mhm.
also have some street credibility in the field.
Yes, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, absolutely, Dick. I'm proud to say I'm a 7-year triple negative breast cancer survivor. So when I was offered this position, I thought, oh, this is why I got cancer. I see now.
Mm.
So I'm honored and proud to run this organization, and I feel like it does give me a little bit more perspective, even though I don't have the education of someone as esteemed as yourself. But going through it does help a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can't the background that it gives you, not just in terms of the factual knowledge, but the emotional roller coaster that is part of being a cancer survivor. Um,
Absolutely.
do
Yeah,
do you feel comfortable sharing some of your own personal
sure.
cancer journey with us?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Dick, you are so right. I think a lot of folks don't understand or realize what cancer patients and survivors go through, as you said, in terms of their emotional and mental well-being. There's so much anxiety, for example, around the treatment. I myself really greatly suffered from anxiety. I had to have adriamycin for my first chemo treatment, and it was really tough on me. It made me very, very, very sick. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. I was basically living off of, infusions for 1 week. And then the next week I could eat a little bit. I lost 30 pounds in a month though. Woo! So not a diet I would recommend. I always tried to find the silver lining, Dick, in everything I did, but it was tough. It was tough. There was a lot of dark days. Even after I was done with that chemo treatment, I had anxiety around food for a while that I had to overcome. You get anxiety about, finances for sure, even though I felt like I was certainly fortunate and in a good place. When you have insurance, you've heard the terms out of pocket and deductible. Well, I was diagnosed in November, treatment all through December. I hit those 2 milestones and then hit them again in January the next year. Suddenly I'm $15,000 in debt. So there's just a lot of things that happen, Dick, and not to mention the effects on your body that are really long term. And you may look okay on the outside, but you're not okay on the inside. Physically, emotionally, you're weak. You really have been through the ringer, but people don't, they can't see that unless you tell them. And so there's a lot of that. So when I got to know A Time to Heal and the work they do, it made perfect sense to me, because that's what we focus on, Dick. We're focusing on trying to improve the recovery of our cancer survivors and just help them to create their best life through this kind of combination of education and mental health support, and also community with fellow cancer survivors in a small group setting of no more than about 15 people at a time.
And you're right. People, the patients come through their cancer treatment, and all of a sudden the casseroles stop, and there's this expectation. Well, you got through it. Now it's over and done with. But the lingering physical, psychosocial, emotional, financial, philosophical, spiritual issues that patients, survivors experience is not always obvious. And that's why organizations such as A Time to Heal and Above and Beyond Cancer play such an important role to provide this forum for not only education, but support, and then fellowship and camaraderie among that whole peer population.
It's absolutely true. And it's so important. And Dick, I just so admire what Above and Beyond Cancer does. And some of the things you do that, you told me you just got back from scaling Mount Kilimanjaro, I think, and things like that. And I love that. I just think it's so wonderful. It took me a while just to get back on a horse. I just felt too weak to do it. And I think one of the main things any cancer survivor will tell you is they say, I just want to feel like me again. Whatever that me may be.
Yeah. So obviously there's the new you. There's, time to begin again. Do you feel like you now? And how many years after your last drop of chemotherapy or last a bit of ionizing radiation or the last scalpel cut, how long afterwards did it take you before you kind of felt, this is me, I am me here, I'm different, I'm changed by my life experience, but I'm me again?
Boy, that's a great question, isn't it? I wish I could pinpoint the exact day, or even, I would honestly say over a year, maybe 2. Oh, it looks like I froze a little bit. Sorry. I hope you can still hear me.
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
Perfect. That's all you need. You don't need to look at me. At least I would say a couple years, just to feel all the way kind of returned. And part of that was because, Dick, something else I struggled with was brain fog. And that was probably one of the more longer lasting things that probably took a good 1.5 years, to get through. I wish I would have had our brain fog program at that time. That would have really helped me. But I struggled with that for some time.
So you mentioned what we now refer to as financial toxicity, that even people with fabulous health insurance have copays and deductibles that can really add up. And you told us about the example where, yeah, you got hit twice within a few months. The all of the copays and deductibles at the end of one calendar year, and then you're in the midst of treatment and get hit with all the copays and deductibles the beginning of the next calendar year.
Yes.
Um, and the brain fog, sometimes referred to as chemo brain,
Hmm.
that is not always obvious. I would say most patients that I know that have some brain fog, it's not so obvious that someone talking to them recognizes or picks up. You certainly don't, talking to someone who has chemo brain fog, think, oh my gosh, they've got Alzheimer's, dementia. It's much, much more subtle than that to someone talking to someone with brain fog. How would you describe the the symptoms of brain fog that you experienced?
You feel very scattered, Dick. And I think a lot of folks don't recognize it when they're going through treatment, because maybe if they're very lucky, they're maybe not working as much. But I think that's when you really notice it, is when you're trying to work or do important tasks, whatever those may be. Yes, you feel very scattered. You can forget things almost immediately, which is very scary. Like say you, Dick, you were talking to me about my organization, and suddenly I'll be repeating what I just said a couple minutes ago, because I didn't remember that I already told you that. Or I just remember my computer was covered in, so that I could try to remember things. So it was like right up in my face. Because if it slipped below, like think about when you're looking at your emails and it slips below your line of sight, then I would really struggle with, oh gosh, what am I supposed to be doing today? I have to look at my calendar very frequently because I can't remember what's all on my calendar today.
And you at A Time to Heal, you have this wonderful brain fog program that patients can access virtually and for free anywhere. And I've had several of my patients that have gone through that.
Yes.
Could you describe a little bit about your brain fog program, how you created it, and how's it doing, and how many patients have you had that have gone through the program?
Oh, I'd love to talk about that. So our brain fog program initially was a program that we used based out of Canada, and we really enjoyed it. And the thing is, of course, it was licensed to this entity in Canada, which meant they were the only ones that could train new facilitators to facilitate the program, et cetera. Right? Well, then COVID happened. So we could not get anybody from Canada into the United States to train new facilitators, and we couldn't get anybody retrained, shall we say, recertified. So the certifications expired, and we had to suspend the program. Dr. Deming, we looked everywhere for a similar program in the United States, and we could not find one. So we hired a PhD in occupational therapy to help us research everything we could on chemo brain fog, not only for cancer patients, but for COVID as well. And we put that all together into a curriculum and a workbook. And a lot of that curriculum is teaching survivors how to use different kinds of memory tools, right? And what works best for you, because what works best for me may not work best for you, Dick. So we have a few different options of some memory tools, and we also play a lot of brain games. So we get your brain firing on all cylinders. We also offer a lot of advice on how to best organize your life and take advantage of all the wonderful tools out there that you can use for memory issues. For example, here's a great one that a lot of people use, is Alexa, to remind you of what's on your calendar today. Remind me what set reminders throughout the day, kind of your own personal assistant. We also talk about, very important, what really helps brain fog. Dr. Deming, you're going to love to hear this: nutrition and exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Huge, research proven that this is a huge help with brain fog. But we're not talking about, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro to have an effect. We're talking about exercise. Just a little bit of exercise can be so beneficial. Just get up and how about every time the phone rings and you talk to somebody on the phone, you get up and walk around and talk the whole time you're on the phone. Something as simple as that to kickstart you. I would highly recommend looking into Above and Beyond Cancer and the programs they have. But again, any kind of movement is wonderful. It is great, and it will help your brain fog. Good eating will help your brain fog. All of these. So we've just packaged all these things together and present them to you in a 6-week program, online over Zoom, 90 minutes once a week for 6 weeks. That's all. You get the workbook for free. You get to keep that. It's yours. You will be tracking how you're feeling. When are your best times of day? When are you most have the most clarity? Is that the morning? Can you talk to your employer about maybe juggling some things around to make sure that you're focusing on your most difficult tasks during the time when you feel most alert and your brain fog is the least impactful on you? So just things like that.
And Brenda, I know that this program is evidence-based, so the way you determine that it is helpful is as the program's being developed, there's pre and post testing. When someone does the program virtually through A Time to Heal, the 6-week program, is there any sort of formal pre-program test and post-program test that would demonstrate to the participant that they have had improvement?
We ask them those questions. So it is perception based for them. Absolutely. And most of our folks, I would say the vast majority are telling us it is making a big difference for them. Now, what we're not doing yet, Dick, is we're not doing 6 months out. We're hoping to do that here early next year because we want to see how long the effects last. Mm-hmm. Are they continuing with our advice? What kind of changes have they made? Some folks might say latch onto the brain games and maybe a little bit of exercise, but not so much on nutrition. So we want to find out all these things to see kind of where they're at and how it benefits them. Dick, something you asked me that I didn't answer. You wanted to know how many people we've served in our brain fog program so far this year. And this is including folks that have signed up for our October class. We have 190 that we have served. Yeah, wonderful. It is wonderful. And we need to thank you and thank our Iowa folks. We've had 17 participants from Iowa in the brain fog program. And of those 17, we've had 2, 4, 5 referred directly by either you, Dr. Deming, the Deming Cancer Center, or Above and Beyond. So thank you for your referrals. And again, it's completely free. You've got nothing to lose by signing up online.
Yeah, it's so easy to sign up. That's wonderful. So let's talk a little bit more about A Time to Heal. How long has it been in existence? And then I'd love to have you describe a little bit about your survival 101 curriculum, because it's wonderful that. And I'm interested whether you were always virtual or did the creation of the virtual programming come out of COVID? Was there a time where you could only benefit from A Time to Heal expertise by being in person in a room? And so maybe a little bit of the history and then a little bit about the Survival 101 curriculum that you have.
Okay. Well, A Time to Heal was founded in 2005. And our founders were Dr. Stephanie Korleski, and she is a clinical oncology psychologist. And then Dr. Kay Ryan, who herself is a cancer survivor. She's both are PhDs. And Kay Ryan and Stephanie Korleski were very good friends. Kay, like I said, is a breast cancer survivor. As a cardiac rehab nurse, once she was through with treatment, she went to her friend Stephanie Korleski and said, "No one's approached me about rehab." And and Steph said, "Well, that's because there isn't any." Well, there should be. Well, you're right. There should be. So it really came out of a simple conversation like that. So they started gathering all this research and they put together this wonderful book called The Time to Heal. So each book is a different chapter, going over many different aspects of survivorship, including what we just talked about. What should I be eating now? Should I be exercising, and how much? I have terrible anxiety. I'm having problems, getting my family and my friends and my employer to understand what I'm going through. They don't realize that I'm changed inside now. How do I talk about that? How do I talk about intimacy with my partner? Because that's changed as well. All these different things. They put together everything they could in this book. And at that time, Dick, they offered a 12-week program. And it was only in person. Mm-hmm. And it was about 2 hours because they kind of had some fellowship with, you have snacks and things. So it kind of gets stretched out from 90 minutes to about a couple hours.
So the book came first, and then from the book came the in-person meetings. And if someone did the whole curriculum, how many weeks was it?
It was 12 weeks
12
at that
weeks.
time.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. The book itself at that time had about 375 pages. So you kind of had a little bit of the facilitator and the participants had a bit of a buffet when it came to the book. So the facilitators would take cues from the participants about what they were really interested in learning about, so they could kind of mix it up a little bit and focus on maybe one chapter more than another. But you would still, Dick, go home with this wonderful resource book so that if you had questions later, or maybe intimacy wasn't a big deal for you, but then it popped up later, it is, you could refer back to the book.
Yeah. So Brenda, your voice is coming through loud and clear. We don't have any video. Do you want to maybe try turning your camera on and off again and see if we can't get your video to your video feed to come to us? Welcome back, Brenda.
I decided just to join with my phone.
Well, we see you beautifully, and the audio and video is great.
Well, there you go. That's all we needed to do.
There we go. And the lighting is great. So thanks for coming back. And, we were talking about your Survivorship 101 course. That is, you gave us the background and the history of the two PhDs, one who happened to be a cardiac rehab nurse who went through her own cancer journey and kind of was surprised that nobody offered her rehab. And so she created this program. Now people are able to participate virtually in the whole program. Is it still a 12-week program?
No. So what happened then when good old COVID came around, that really changed everything, Dr. Deming. Actually, at the time, Time to Heal was kind of going through some changes of its own. The previous executive director had left, and so they were trying to decide, well, what direction do we need to go here? The former executive director tried some new things and it didn't work very well. So they're trying to figure out, well, who do we want to be when we grow up? And right at that time, COVID hit. And so they had hired a consultant that this poor consultant now really had to figure out what they needed to do. And like everybody else said, well, let's try Zoom. Let's see if we can help people, virtually. And that's exactly what they did. The byproduct of that, Dr. Deming, was, people were looking for help, not only in the Omaha area, but all over the United States, all over the world. And they found us. So, you were talking about some program statistics, and I'd love to I'm just bringing it up again just to give you an idea of where we've come from. So Survivorship 101 went from a 12-week, once a week, 2 hours program to shortened up to 9 weeks, 90 minutes, because we all have had Zoom fatigue. So shortened it up, tightened it up, and just we had to create PowerPoint slides for everything, and teach our facilitators kind of how to facilitate in a Zoom environment, which is a lot different than in person. So what happened was, Dr. Deming, I've got my stats pulled up here. We went from serving in 2019, I'm sorry, I have to move something to look, 67 participants in 2019, 67. Now that's not counting our partners that, we've trained to deliver the program to their patients. So 67, total contact hours, 1,506. And then in 2020, we served 220 participants, 1,891 hours. And I can tell you where we're at today. So far this year, we've served 695 people and delivered 4,794 contact hours. Now, that's not just for survivorship. That is across our programs with brain fog and things like that. But clearly, it has exploded, continues to explode. We have already surpassed by 100 the total participants for last year. So we're very, very excited. And also, we have served people from around the world, 5 different countries. We had somebody sign up, I think it was yesterday, from Switzerland.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's amazing. Switzerland, the Philippines, the United Kingdom, of course, Canada, all over. They just find us.
And Brenda, so obviously wonderful, the breadth that you have and the ability for people around the world. So anyone watching us knows that sometimes technical glitches happen. Did you have to invest in an IT infrastructure, and how much of anyone's session is trying to get people connected and reconnected, and what has been your experience with the IT aspect of it?
You know what? We've been very, very lucky, Dick. We've exclusively used the Zoom platform, they're kind of the pioneers of it. And we've had very, very good luck and not a whole lot of problems. The great news is, again, it's free, but also if you're someone that feels I'm not the most confident about Zoom. We had an older lady that was not feeling confident at all, and we spent a couple hours pre and even during just making sure she felt comfortable. So we would do Zoom sessions with her and practice with her, and she did great. And we're happy to do that for anybody. We're happy to help.
And typically, how many participants would be on the screen at one time?
No more than 15 plus the facilitator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We keep it small.
Now, congratulations are in order, because you recently, it was an announcement that your organization had been chosen for a competitive grant to help provide virtual cancer survivorship programming in the state of Iowa. And
yes,
that's exciting news. Tell us a little bit about the grant and how you plan on actualizing, delivering the deliverables that you, what you said you were going to accomplish, and how are you going to do that?
So we want to give Iowa cancer survivors and their caregivers the ability to experience our Survivorship 101 program in 2 different ways. And one of the ways, of course, is that they will be able to sign up on our website for free, atth.org, and they will be able to go ahead and participate in that way. And I'll get back to that in a second, because we have a kind of something special going on with that. The other way we want Iowans to participate is, we understand that there's a lot of folks that they have really close relationships with their own healthcare providers. And we encourage that and we applaud that, right? And sometimes that is what they would prefer rather than going online through us. So what we do is we are going to, through this grant, this grant is going to allow us to kind of offset the initial financial investment it takes to train healthcare providers to deliver our programs to their patients at their oncology clinic, hospital, etc. So Dr. Deming, there at Mercy, we would come in, you would choose one or two staff members that you want to have trained to deliver our programming to your patients, and that's what we would do. And then you would get the books from us, and you will get a special price for those as well. And so that way your patients that are comfortable coming to Mercy, and that's who they want to come to, et cetera, they'll be able to do that. So we have two options. And then let's say, so we have 3 different locations. Well, actually, we're going to have 4. So we're going to try to pick a provider on the eastern side of the state, central and western side of the state, plus one more. That is going to be determined by the Iowa Cancer Consortium. And so they're in the midst of determining who would be best. We really do have a focus, Dick, on trying to help people that are lower income, below 400% of the poverty level, folks that are struggling a little bit with access to healthcare, right? Mm-hmm. So again, that's where we come in with our online version, because if you live way out in a rural area and you're not close, maybe you're an hour or 2 drive away from a wonderful clinic, you can still benefit from our program online for free. And we will ship the book out to you and all of that. So do you want me to make my little announcement of what we're going to do?
Yes, please do.
Well, I have to change my eyewear first. because I got these from the Iowa Cancer Consortium, and I have to say that they're going to go beautifully with what we have to offer. So for those of you watching this, either live or taped later, if you sign up for a Time to Heal Survivorship 101 class, okay, anytime between now and the 1st of May, and if you put down your referral as Dr. Deming or Above and Beyond Cancer, whichever, we're going to send you a beautiful, free, A Time to Heal shirt. Look how does it look fabulous with these?
It does.
Sunglasses?
It looks great with the glasses. Yes.
And it's of course, we know the ribbon color for survivors is what? Purple, right? So we have a purple shirt, but not only that, if you don't like purple, we also have your choice of a beautiful orange A Time to Heal shirt. And look, again, with the sunglasses, it's perfect.
Yes, it is great.
So that offer's only good if you're watching this right now. And again, you use that referral, and and we have sizes from small to XXX. All
right. And then the programming is free to the
absolutely free. Yeah. The program is free. The book is free. You got nothing to lose.
That's wonderful. Tell me some more about the book. So the book was created 2005-ish, and has it been revised over the years?
Yes.
How many chapters does it have, and do the chapters sort of mirror or parallel the individual sessions?
They do. And like I said, there's going to be some extras in there. I'm going to back up. So the book has gone through at least 1 revision, maybe 2, but it just came through its most recent revision, and it is brand new. So you are going to get brand new book, brand new curriculum with all the latest, greatest research that's available out there. So our founders they've done this over the past year and a half. They have painstakingly updated every single chapter. They've added some more in there about young survivors. We have so many more young survivors now, right, Dick?
Yes.
And they have special needs and special concerns. You know, we talk about dating, talk about employment, talk about talking to young children and families, those kinds of things. We also, by the way, we have a spin-off class. You know how you have spin-off TV shows? We have a spin-off class called Under 45 Survivorship that's also available. Just want to throw that in there. But yes, all of you folks are watching right now. This book, the curriculum, brand new. We are actually going to be retraining trainers here in the next 2 weeks. So you will be really among the first to get the new updated curriculum, the brand new book, again, all free.
And Brenda, is the curriculum, the new curriculum, going to be 9 classes that are each 90 minutes apart? So once a week.
Yep, we're going to continue that. We feel like, Dick, our founders felt strongly that was working. And again, the facilitators are specially trained by us, and they really are paying attention to the needs of that particular group, and they will kind of adjust. And so they'll spend more time on certain chapters than others based on what your needs are. So you guys, when you sign up and you get involved, speak up and ask to talk about certain things that are important to you.
Wonderful. Let's talk a little bit more about the other aspect of your fulfillment of the grant obligations, and that is what you described, train the trainer. Do you have that curriculum developed, and how many sessions? I think you've described that someone from your organization will actually physically travel to Western Iowa, Central Iowa, Eastern Iowa, those 3, and then one more to be determined. How long of a training session is that, where you train, for example, if you were to come to my cancer center and train my nurse practitioner doing survivorship work, what would be the duration of the training that you do with them in person in my center?
It's a 2-day training, and it's about 6 hours, not counting lunch, 6-7 hours a day.
Okay.
It's a lot to get through. We actually send 2 trainers to train facilitators because, as you can imagine, Dick, spending that long of a time can get really exhausting. So they kind of trade off. And also, Dick, we have found in the in-person setting, sometimes it's really great if you can have not only one facilitator, but 2, especially if one is more of a psychologist or social worker nature, and the other one is more of a medical professional.
Right.
That's a winning combination at any time.
And I might have given a misinterpretation by saying coming to my center. So, for example, you would come to Des Moines, let's say, if that is the Central Iowa, and you would train individuals from many different cancer centers that would be in Central Iowa. So that the plan isn't to go to individual cancer centers and just train them. You're just going to have 4 locations in Iowa through the course of a year, and individuals from various cancer centers in Iowa could choose which of the locations to go to and get a 2-day training from your organization on how to do the Survivorship 101 at their own cancer center.
That's absolutely correct, Dick, and thank you so much for that clarification. That's absolutely right. So even it doesn't have to be, we don't want it to be just one organization. We want as many as we can get, and travel, and it's only a couple days, so hopefully it won't be too terribly disruptive to the work schedules. And then you only have to recertify once every 2 years, and we can do the recertification online once you're trained.
Wonderful. So, yeah, a great opportunity to not just feed someone a meal, but teach them how to fish and provide food for a lifetime. And then to have the backup for individuals who may not be able to go to a cancer center for the in-person course once a week to be able to do the course virtually through your program, A Time to Heal.
And that's so important, Dick, because, you know, whether you're maybe still have lingering effects of treatment, or maybe you've got small children, you know, and you can't really leave your home. You know, maybe you have financial difficulties, transportation difficulties. This way, as long as you have internet, you can access. And guess what? As long as you have one of these funny little things, look what happened here. The phone saved the day, and look, I can participate just fine, and so can you. You can do it through your phone.
I know, phones are amazing. I would tell you, your camera quality and the whole lighting is actually better on the phone than it was on your laptop.
It totally, isn't it crazy? Yeah, it is. Yeah. My good old Samsung Note here. It's you know, so we're
gonna, Brenda, if it's okay with you, we're gonna open it up to questions. So we have a live studio audience here, but we also have folks that are live streaming. Before we open it up to questions, I don't know if you have the book, and I don't want to ask a question that maybe you don't have the ability to answer right now, but do you have like maybe the names of some of the chapters? So I'm sure there are various themes at each of these 9 sessions, because that might prompt some additional questions if you had the ability to just sort of run through what those 9 different sessions. And again, you already told us that once you have the whole group assembled, that it can be flexible and maybe spend more time on certain topics. But I suspect that you have sort of 9 generalized topics that are in the curriculum.
Well, you're in luck, because I actually have the book. Oh, no, it's a PDF. I got to open it in a different way, but I actually do have the book. Give me a second, and I'm going to open it up for you so I can read, because I wanted, it's so new. We were only allowed 10 copies, and those copies are already gone to our trainers that were, so we're just kind of, you know, but hang on just a moment. I'll tell you exactly.
So the executive director doesn't get her own copy.
No, I don't. It was really funny because I said right before I left.
A question here. So.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. Okay. Do you want me to run through the chapters?
Yeah, why don't you just read through the chapters if you don't mind.
Okay, so right now it looks like we have 9 chapters. So chapter 1 is building resilience. Chapter 2 is healing myself. Chapter 3 is calming worries and fears. Chapter 4 is fuel for healing. Chapter 5 is may the circle be unbroken. Chapter 6 is fitness for healing. Chapter 7 is nurturing inner strength. Chapter 8 is putting it all together. And chapter 9 is happiness is ... So, and then we have several special topics, which remember I talked about that they can kind of flip back and forth. The special topics are body image, I'm too young to have cancer, the issues of young adult survivors, cancer and sexuality, managing extreme fatigue, chemo brain, clearing the fog, living with advanced cancer, hope, remissions, and miracles, the challenges of being a caregiver, talking to children about cancer, and dealing with work, insurance, finances, and legal issues.
Wow, wonderful. What a really broad and deep curriculum. So thank you for sharing that. And if you're okay, we're going to open up to questions. So first, we have my friend and cancer survivor, Poon, with a question.
Yes, my question is, do you see survivors like who have been through treatment like 2, 4, 6 years later still having brain fog?
Oh, you know, not really. I think for most people, it usually gets resolved within a couple years. However, I have seen folks that have really varying degrees of brain fog. And Dr. Deming, you mentioned something about most of the time you can't tell, but we certainly have we've had people with brain fog that you really could tell that they would be in the middle of a sentence and just forget what they were talking about. For those folks, I think this program will be some help, but certainly that is really kind of beyond our capabilities, and those are the in fact, we have a gal on that's a testimonial of ours, and she certainly fit that description where it was very much a struggle for her, but she did say it really did help her some, but she was also working with a neurologist as well.
Okay.
And so I think if the brain fog is that probably long lasting, that would be your best bet, is to make sure you're working with a professional. And I say, why not take it? Again, it doesn't cost anything. We'd be happy to have you if you've had brain fog for a month or 10 years. Why not try it? It's not going to cost you a thing.
Redo the program. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We have another question. My friend and cancer survivor, Kevin.
Yes. Survivorship for both patients and caregivers is certainly something to celebrate. I'm always kind of self-conscious from a caregiver who's not celebrating because their loved one didn't survive. Do you have any programs for those caregivers?
We don't have a program just for caregivers. Our Survivorship 101, we encourage, and we always want folks to bring their caregivers if they can, because we, especially, you heard me talk about, that's kind of a special chapter. We actually have a book, a caregiver book that we will send out to the caregiver, which gives them a lot of helpful reading to help the patient, the cancer survivor. You are absolutely right. Caregivers are very, very special. And I have seen some amazing and heard some amazing caregiver stories. And can I just tell you a quick little story? We had a husband and wife. He was the caregiver to his wife. She had ovarian cancer. And he told us, he was going through the program with her. And he sent the facilitator a private email and said, I would like to have a chance to talk about what I'm feeling. And she said, absolutely, we're going to do it the next session. And that's what he did. And he talked to his wife. He said, I'm going to talk about some things, but you have to sit behind me. like right here that we're in a Zoom environment. He says, you have to sit behind me or else I won't be able to get it out. And he talked about how it was, it's very hard on the caregivers, very hard. And think about this. Think about being a caregiver, and it's your husband and your wife, and husband and wives, guess what? They do things to irritate you, right? And this is just the nature of marriage. So when that happens, you think you're a terrible person because you think, oh my God, how could I be mad at my loved one? They have cancer. How can I? And so you internalize it. And that can become a big problem, right? So he was talking about that. He was talking about how scared he was and how it was very difficult for him to talk to her about this, because he's thinking to himself, why? I don't want to burden her with my trivial feelings. She was so pleased. I mean, we were all crying, but she was so pleased to hear that from him because, of course, she can't read his mind. And after that, they talked about how much better their marriage became, how much better their lives became because they were more open with their communication. And also for her, it kind of gave her an opportunity not to think about herself and to say, hey, let's help each other here. And so it's okay to tell me you're mad at me. It's okay to tell me you're scared. We'll be scared together, and we're going to get through this together. And it was just a beautiful moment. And by the way, this was 2.5 years ago, and she is an ovarian cancer survivor and doing great. And they this year went on a trek. Dr. Deming, you're going to love this. They were determined to visit every single baseball stadium in the United States. And that's their thing, is baseball, and they've been having a ball doing it.
Well, wonderful. Kevin, also you mentioned it's great to celebrate caregivers, but sometimes caregivers whose a cancer patient has died, it's hard to celebrate. And I would say that that's where bereavement comes into play. So the question, Brenda, would be, do you have sessions for grief and bereavement?
We do not at this time.
Okay.
But we do, if you go to our Time to Heal resource page, there are some wonderful organizations that do offer that online.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to take advantage of those. I know we have some here locally, but that's not going to help you. I know there's some wonderful, and maybe Dr. Deming, you know of some in Iowa.
Yep. So I was going to say, Kevin, we do have a grief counselor at our cancer center, and the program is totally free. So individual counseling for our grief counselor, Kathy, to work with individuals who've lost a loved one to cancer, and to help work with them individually on how to grieve, how to experience grief in a healthy way. So that is a resource we have. I think we have time for one more question.
Brenda, I'm just curious, you mentioned people around the country and around the world who have just found you. And I know sometimes that's just through a Google search, but are there certain things or certain partners that you as an organization connect with to spread the word and to get people to sort of plug into your programs?
We actually have looked at we started adding a couple of years ago to our online forum, how did you hear about us? And I would say I think it was 70% have found us through social media, through Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram, mostly Facebook. There are some wonderful Facebook groups that are for specific cancers. I do think also, now I think about it, I think there might be a caregiver group on there as well. And that's something we're interested in developing further. But yes, social media has been our friend. We do some Facebook ads, if you will, where we put something on our Facebook page, and there's something you can do called boosting it for like $10 or $20. And you can get it out to a wider audience. So that's about the extent of our marketing budget at the moment.
Brenda Helget, Executive Director of A Time to Heal. I invite you to boost your website. Tell us how people can get to your website and learn about your virtual programs.
It's very simple. So you think A Time to Heal, ATTH.org. ATTH.org. You can go there and click on the different programs. We also have monthly free webinar series called Create Your Best Life, with a variety of wonderful topics. And if you click in there, you can even see our old videos that are from previous Create Your Best Lives that are on our YouTube channel.
Great. So thank you so much, Brenda Helget, Executive Director of Time to Heal. You're doing wonderful work, and thank you for sharing it far and wide. We appreciate it. And don't forget, if you sign up for the program in the next, what month? Is it the next month? How long do they have?
You know what? We'll go till May. How's that sound?
Till May. Okay.
Yeah.
You will get a T-shirt and
or until we run out of T-shirts, whichever comes first.
And a book. Great. Thanks again.
Yeah.
And thanks to our audience. If you know someone that would benefit by watching this program or listening to it, it will be available tomorrow on the Above and Beyond Cancer YouTube channel and the Mercy One Cancer Center website. I hope you'll join us again next week. Thanks, everyone.